Yo, it's T, and I am back with one of the kings. In fact, I think this is the undisputed king currently of most fidgetable, most deployments on one knife. It's the Kizer Cormorant. So let's get into it. Overall, it is 7.25 inches. 3.23 of that is blade, with 3 inches of that blade being edge. From widest point, it is 1.05 inches wide, 0.12 inches thick, made out of CPM S35 VN steel with a clip point blade. The blade is finished in black. The handle is 4.125 inches, almost an inch wide at 0.99 inches. I'm sorry, that's width. Thickness, it's much less than that, a half an inch at 0.5 inches exactly, made out of this serape G10 pattern. The weight is 3.15 ounces. Manufactured by Kizer in China, coming in at $135. So, what do you get for that $135? Well, you get this awesome little knife, and you also, at least with the serape edition, get a cool little EDC case. And it doesn't come rigged up like this. If you saw my last video, you might know that I tied this all together just to keep it all in one place for review, but it comes with the cool serape pattern case with a very good zipper on it, a cool G10 Kizer branded dog tag, and a G10 lanyard bead, which is really cool. I like it. I like it a lot, and I'm going to be using this EDC case in the future. So let's get back into the stuff that you really bought it for, even if the case is pretty cool. So the blade is nice, but I would like to point out that when you first open it, it feels bigger than it is. So it doesn't cut quite as well as you think it might, because the blade you see, this doesn't add to the cutting weight, so to speak, of the blade. It's very thin, not a very hefty blade. And then compared to some of my other slicers, the actual thickness of the blade here is just that 100th of an inch more, but that does make a difference, because when it comes to cutting things, an inch of space is a whole lot. So 100th of an inch can widen out that blade. I'm thinking compared to a couple of other knives, but my point here is that it's not an amazing slicer, but it's very good. It's normal. Nothing that you'll have no faults with the slicing action, but it doesn't just cut through packages and cardboard and what have you like butter. So the opening action, there are plenty. You've got the Spidey drop, the button flick, the Spidey flick, regular thumb, front flipper, and regular flipper. So that's quite a few. The actions are good. This hole here for the thumb hole gives you plenty of control. But this flat area, if you kind of catch on the flat area, it can be more of a pain than something like a Spyderco that has a circle where you can get equal force from pretty much any direction and still open it. With this, you kind of want to lock your thumb in on that circle up there. I mean, that's best practice. Get it right there, get that angular momentum. It's best practice regardless, but the bar is not as great of an opening method as you may think. It's not exactly as ergonomic, yet it's plenty comfy. There's nothing wrong with it at all. it's just not a heavenly ergonomic experience. And I think that's something that you'll find throughout this blade. They might have sacrificed on an opener here or there, but that was in service of getting 3 different very, very good, very usable openers. The action on it is smooth. It's very very pleasant, but it's nothing to write home about in the world of button lock knives. Compare it to something like a Spyderco, and you've kind of got the idea. It's not blowing my mind action-wise, nothing specifically to write home about, but on the other end, there's zero wrong with it. It's still great. So let's get into the handle. The button action is very nice. It's located in a good position. The button itself feels very good and responsive. The hardware is all in Torx. It's just, I want to say, it's just a black coated stainless. And then the ergonomics of this thing they're not that great. I'm gonna be honest. It's straight up, it's good, it's okay, it's a normal knife handle. And I think that's something that it's not the most exciting statement to make in your review. You either want to rant and rave over how good something is, or scream about it like the angry video game nerd. Or at least that's what somebody of my generation wants to do when it comes to reviewing things. And of course, this is a real review, a knife review. It's much more subdued. It's not for comedy's sake. But the impulse to find either just the top of the line or really savage a product, is there. And I think it's something people relate to some degree. But for something that you're going to be potentially carrying every day, and I've actually very much gravitated to this as a daily carry, even past kind of my review period, into when I keep most of my knives in rotation, but it's been in a heavier rotation recently because it's not too wide, it's not too thick, it can sit in my pocket comfortably, and then I'm either cutting stuff at work or just flicking it and enjoying the 3 different deployments. 4 if you count the button. So I think that normalcy, that it's not middle of the road at all, but that predictability, I think you could say, more than anything. Normality and predictability, consistency, is actually something great. I mean, would I prefer that any one part be just mind-blowing? Sure, but when it comes to designing mechanical items and tools that are meant to be used, then you get into something where trade-offs become so real. Going back to it, before I kind of got off on a tangent there, the ergos are not that great. They're normal knife ergos. You can lock this finger in, you can lock this finger in, you can get a good pressure right there, or that's a little bit weird, but you can get up top here. So it's not, I think you could get a pinch grip, but nothing wrong with the ergos, but it's definitely in no way an actually ergonomic knife. It's just a very standard handle shape. The clip over here is ambidextrous. And they have marketed this knife as something that could be used by lefties. I think I've never front flipped it. Okay, but you see, I am not a lefty. Well, that's a whole different story for a whole nother day. But I'm not really a lefty. So the fact that I can front flip it is saying something. And it's easy to actuate that button with your finger over here. Final thoughts. I think at the end of the day, I think that I kind of nailed it with that whole talk about normality and how it comes to serve this knife very well. There is nothing about it other than those multiple deployments that really speaks to you. But being that it just does what it does and there's nothing lacking, and just being itself, it manages to do an excellent job. So I'm not doing scores out of 10, but I think the Kizer Cormorant Serape edition is going to be staying in my rotation for a long, long time to come. All right, thanks guys. I'll see you later. Peace.